In a totally metaphorical, non-physical sense, he needs to be have his head dunked in the toilet and shoved into a metaphorical locker. Just a dork.
In this one, we're going to have a look at Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire slamming woke CNN host Jim Acosta for quitting live on air. But who knows? Maybe Jim Acosta knew something was coming out from Doge with this USAID stuff and saw the writing on the wall that potentially CNN was a recipient of this and decided to go ahead and abandon ship before he got caught up in some whirlwind. But let's hear what Matt Walsh has to say about Jim Acosta quitting live on his show.
Now we have some tragic news. CNN anchor and longtime Trump hater Jim Acosta made the announcement on a show yesterday that he is quitting. It was his last show, and the background here is that CNN wanted to move Jim Acosta from his daytime slot to midnight. I think he was on at 10 a.m., and they wanted to move him to midnight, which is, I mean, that's how much faith and pride the CNN brass had in Jim Acosta. That's how you know, right, that you're doing a great job on TV when your bosses come to you and say, we want to move your time slot. How far do you want to move it? About 14 hours. we want to just push it back a bit, about 14 hours, And because there are probably about 10 people watching CNN at midnight, which is only half of their primetime audience. So it's a pretty steep drop. And so Acosta wouldn't do it. Acosta would not allow his show to be moved to midnight, which is a little surprising, considering that Jim Acosta, no offense, is a blood-sucking vampire goblin. So you'd think that midnight would be perfect for him. As a brainless zombie, you'd think that the graveyard shift would be right up his alley. But he said no, and so he gave his dramatic sign-off yesterday. Here it is.
There's never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies. I will not give in to the fear. Post it on your social media so people can hear from you too. I'll have more to say about my plans in the coming days, but until then, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. It has been an honor to be welcomed into your home for all these years. That's the news. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta.
Good Lord. What a dork. I mean, I know this is not the most profound insight, but what a dork this guy is. Just a dork. Like, I don't condone bullying, but this is why bullies fill a role in society. This is someone who just needs to be shoved into a locker. Like, this is someone who just needs to have his head dunked in a toilet and be shoved into a locker. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying that should happen. I guess I did just say it should happen, but that's not, I'm figuratively, like metaphorically, in a totally metaphorical, non-physical sense, he needs to be have his head dunked in the toilet and shoved into a metaphorical locker. Just a dork. Take out your phone, post this message on your social medias. I will not give in to the lies. You try to start, and nobody posted that, by the way, not a single person. He's trying to start a movement. Post it on your social media. No one did. Not a single person did. You could tell he wanted this so badly to be his network moment, right? His I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore moment. He wanted this to be this would be his iconic, defiant, bold, brave. You guys didn't remind me to turn this off. That's on you. He wanted this to be his defiant moment, and it just didn't. It didn't work, and instead it was just lame and boring. And on top of that, he fumbled over his words multiple times. So huge dork, and that's it for Jim Acosta. I can only imagine that seeing him leave so abruptly was very upsetting for his viewer. So my condolences to that person. And we'll wait to see what Jim Acosta does next. I mean, no one is waiting to see what he does next. Nobody cares. But I'm sure we'll hear anyway.
So I got to say, I agree with Matt Walsh when he's talking about bullying. But I will say, Jim Acosta and his show was never on in my household. That clip right there was about the most I've ever seen of Jim Acosta. Know a little bit about him. And, you know, good riddance. These people covered for Joe Biden for years, lying to us, telling us that Joe Biden was up for the task, that he was spry, he was thoughtful, he was youthful. And the reality is he was falling upstairs, falling off bikes, stuttering, pooping his pants, making sure his butt was wiped. You know what I'm saying? This dude was completely inadequate, and he couldn't even fail properly in the end. He went into that debate against Donald Trump and completely failed and made all of these pundits that are out here covering for him and carrying his weight look so bad. They looked so bad that they couldn't cover for him anymore. And that was the final straw that broke the camel's back when it came to Joe Biden's hopes to run again in 2024. But the cope still continued from there. They immediately started carrying water for Kamala Harris. They continued to call Trump a threat to the democracy and every ist and phobe, and they even added misogynist to the list. If you are unable to vote for a black woman in Kamala Harris, right? They just constantly threatened. They were constantly on the attack. They never offered any kind of policies that made Americans' lives better or easier or anything. They just wanted to call out their political opponents, try to prosecute Trump and keep him from being on the ballot. They spent $1.3 billion. They spent $1.3 billion in 3 months trying to get Kamala Harris elected, and it all failed, and the people saw right through it, right? Joe Biden, or somebody wrote on Joe Biden's X account that he was basically bowing out, and it was only a day after he got done saying publicly that he was going to defeat Donald Trump in this election. So I think somebody went on his X account and basically bowed out for him while he was napping. And then they told him the next day when he woke up and was like, Joe, you're out. It's official. Everybody knows it, and there's nothing you can do about it now. And the left mainstream media, these people like Rachel Maddow and Jim Acosta, they covered for it. They went on calling Trump the threat to democracy when the Democrats didn't even hold a primary election to see who their candidate was going to be in 2024. They just appointed Kamala Harris, and everybody went with it. Now, I don't know if that was because it was a short election season and they didn't want to waste a potentially better candidate, but I mean, they're all trash in my opinion, and the people see through it, and it's just getting worse and worse for the Democratic Party every single day with all the new discoveries that Elon Musk and Doge are making as it pertains to USAID, FEMA, etc. We're only at the tip of the iceberg right now, and the next 4 years are going to be crazy, and as Donald Trump said, we're going to get tired of winning. It's not going to happen. That was the one big lie that Donald Trump told the American people, was that we're going to get tired of winning. No, sir, I will never get tired of it. We keep winning. You keep winning. You keep on this torrential pace that you've been on in the last 20 days, and every single American will be better for it. And so with that, I want to ask you to please hit that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one.